buddy? Jesus Christ, my ears. I'm gonna soul out. Ugly boy. Ugly dog. Okay, Higu 2026 at this pace? Bro, it's a long visual novel. What do you want me to do, huh? Okay, let's get it under the way. Do two? Bro, sometimes we can do two, sometimes we can't, alright? It is what it is. Did we do all the tips? Oh, we did. Okay. Oh boy, here we go. The bodies are gonna get dug out.
笑い続けていれば、いつか幸せになれると信じてきた。誰かのことを思えば、相手も自分を思ってくれると信じてきた。悲しかった思い出を置き去りにして、少女は明日を見つめようと前を向く。甘えず、頼らず、たった一人で未来を切り開くために。その先にあるものは幸せか、それとも不幸せか。罪滅ぼし。誰かを愛したかった。でも本当は誰かに愛されたかった。
はい、いらっしゃいませ。
Oh shit, is this Watanagashi?
特製のフランクフルトはいかがですか？
We just fucking jump forward to Watanagashi Day.
はいよ。シロップはイチゴにメロンにブルーハワイがあるよ。おみくじたこ焼きいかがですか？あたりにはマスタードがげっしり。
There are a great many booths at this year's Watanagashi Festival. Anything can become a festival if there are vendors selling food and music for bond dances, I thought. It's still June, but it had been extremely hot the past few days, almost as if it's already summer. When you have June festival with bond dance music under this kind of weather, the only thing that's missing to make it perfect summer festival is fireworks. So this is Ooishi POV. I had a voice coming from my portable radio. With this earphone, it looks a little like I'm secretly listening to the horse races while on duty.
はい、Ooishi です。
Oh my god, Ooishi plays Uma Musume?
感度良好。 その麦茶、勤務中に飲める麦茶？飲めない麦茶？その麦茶、缶ならもらっといてください。コップなら自体でお願いします。
はい、了解です。それと紹介役員が挨拶に来てます。村長とあと園崎家の方からも。
お寮のばあさま？やだな。大石は巡回中でいつ戻ってくるかわからないとか言ってごまかせません？
無線があるんだからすぐに呼び出せるだろうってすごい剣幕でして。
Uh-oh.
あのばあさま、死ぬときは絶対脳梗塞ですね。了解了解。すぐに戻ると丁重にですよ。お伝えください。
Oh well, I guess I'll have to go back and mingle with the locals. All of a sudden, a group of kids came running towards me from behind. After a quick look at them, I noticed that they were the granddaughter of the old bag and her friends. They occupied a corner of the shooting gallery stall, making a lot of noise. Mion Sonozaki. When acting her age, she's a cute, normal girl. But do I ever hate it when she acts like a member of the Sonozaki family? She'll be the boss of the Okonomiya Yakuza territory in 10 or 20 years, just so you wait and see. And while I was thinking things like that, I noticed that Mion wasn't the only one taking leadership of her group this time. It was the boy. That boy, I know him. He just moved here recently. Boy from the Maibara mansion. Keiichi Maibara-kun, was it? I heard that Maibara family is from the city, and they're supposedly very rich too. But he doesn't flaunt his family's wealth, and he has a good reputation because of that. Even though he just moved here, he's already adjusted to his new school, and he's popular with his classmates too. Everyone in the village seems to like him as well. He's very interesting to watch as a person of many moods. Boys of his age sure have a lot of energy. Odd to be young again.
おい、次はレナだぜ。ここでレナはかなり美味しいタイミングだぜ。
大丈夫レナ？具合悪いんじゃないの？ごめん、ちょっと射的は横で見てたいかな。なら無理をしないで休んでいるといいのです。ではレナさんを飛ばしてここでいよいよ真打ち、私の出番でございましてよ。
Uh-oh. It looked like only 4 of them were having a good time. The girl called Rena seemed outside of that circle of smiles. Her name is Rena Ryugu. What was her real name? I couldn't remember, but I can check when I get back to the station. Rena is only a nickname. I believe she moved here a year before Maibara-kun did. Her mother divorced her father or something like that. She's a strong girl who does all the housework by herself. She's a very modest girl, I'm told, which is rare in this era. Unlike Maibara-kun, it seemed like she hasn't really opened up to her friends just yet. They had looked like a group of 5, but there's distance between her and the others. It's a little sad, you know. Maibara-kun has become part of the village, but Rena is still by herself. Well, that's just how it looks to me.
Ooishi 了解。
This is Ooishi's POV.
地域のお祭りにまで挨拶に来るなんて、うちの沖宮の祭りに来たって話は聞いたことないのに。
ああ、こちら高杉です。大石さん聞こえますか？どうぞ。
はいはい、大石です。ただいま全速力で帰還中ですよ。もう1分ほどお待ちを。
If I don't hurry up, even the chief might end up calling me. I ran back to the headquarters tent. Sussy music. Oh shit. Oh. Oh, it's just going through all of the events that we've already seen, I guess.
Ooishi-san, 先生が到着してます。
Okay, I'm assuming Tomatake and Takano are both dead by this point.
ああ、どうもどうも。どうですか、入江の先生。
Ooishi entered the cordoned off area. In there, people from forensics were taking pictures of the corpse from various angles. Irie was squatting down next to the dead body of Jiro Tomitake. Bro, this poor Tomitake guy never gets a break, huh? We still don't know why he has to die every fucking loop. When he stood up, he looked pale.
信じられません。
そりゃあ私だって信じられませんよ。初見で見た限り仏は喉をかきむしっています。それも自分の手でです。こいつはまっとうな死に方じゃない。十中八九何らかのヤバめな薬物でしょう。
Well, so the only people we've seen to have this drug is Rika. And then Mion and Rena in the first chapter, but the first chapter seems like an anomaly. Cause that one just like is weird, but...
彼は何らかの薬物の常習者だったということでしょうか。
さあね。そいつを調べるのはどうやら我々の仕事になりそうです。
大石さん、この角材は
多分仏が振り回したんじゃないかと思います。で、途中で捨てて喉をかくのが楽しくなっちゃったんじゃないかと。
角材を何のために振り回したんでしょ
う。自衛のためと考えるのが一番自然だと思います。
I never understood that piece of log either, or lumber.
仏の体に外傷がいくつかあるのに気づいてます？
ええ、打撲傷を思わせる跡がいくつか散見できます。
ってことは一番考えられるストーリーは仏が祭り終了後沖宮へ帰る。それで取り押さえられて怪しげな注射とかそういうのをされて、その結果錯乱させられて死に至らしめられた。
喉をかきむしるように誘導できる薬物なんて聞いたことがありません。
私もそっちは専門じゃありませんが、薬物中毒の一つに自傷行為ってあるらしいじゃないですか。まあその辺はうちの鑑識のじい様が調べてくれるでしょう。
おいさん、失礼します。ここから数百メートルのところに富武二郎のものと思われる自転車が見つかりました。
お、そうですか。ありがとうございます。何か手がかりとかは？
いえ、初見では特には。今鑑識が言っています。
じゃあつまりその自転車があった場所が襲撃場所と考えていいんでしょうね。それで戦ったり逃げたりしてここまで来た。
Why did they inject him if he was on a bike? Unless Tomitaka didn't expect it. Ooishi frowned, crossing his arms in front of his chest. Irie was looking at the miserable corpse of Tomitake and he kept saying the same thing over and over.
ありえない。絶対にありえない。
先生、ありえちゃったんだから仕方がないです。
Maybe he knows what drug it is. That's why he thinks it's impossible, because nobody should have that drug.
発想を柔軟にしましょう。まあ先生でもこんな死体はなかなか見慣れてるものじゃないか。先生はもう結構ですよ。お帰りになられて十分休んでください。救命活動でお呼びしたはずだったんですが、無駄足になってしまって申し訳ないです。
Ooishi stuck his head out of the blue tent and asked, "Can anybody give him a ride home?" Irie gasped all of a sudden as he turned to Ooishi.
そうだ。高野さんはどうなったんです？
え？お宅の看護師さんの？
多分富武さんと一緒だったと思うんです。高野さんは無事なんですか？
先生、彼女の電話番号はわかります？
もちろんです。
熊ちゃん、入江の先生に電話番号を聞いて署から在宅確認を取らせてください。
了解っす。先生、番号。
はい、よろしいですか
Kumagi got the phone number from Irie, repeated it back, and then dashed away from the blue tarps.
先生、高野さんと仏は確か親しい仲でしたよね。
ええ。
何かトラブルがあったとか、そういうのは聞いたことがあります？
まさか。聞いたことないです。仲のいい二人でした。
何事もなけりゃいいんですがね。下手すりゃ仏か、それとも星か。なるほど。看護師なら怪しげな薬物を取り扱えてもおかしくはないですよね。
そんな薬品はうちの診療所にはありませんし、あったとしても厳重に保管されています。高野さんに持ち出せるわけがない。
それでも一般人よりは容易でしょ。
ですからそもそもそんな薬物は聞いたことがないし、当診療所にも存在しません。
大石さん、留守のようです。署の待機組の方で直接訪問すると言ってます。先生、すみませんが高野さんの住所を教えてください。
熊ちゃん、それプラス県警に今夜出た身元不明の女性死体がないか確認を取ってください。あるいは県外の可能性もあるんだ。
I still don't think Takano's dead. I feel like the unidentified female body is like completely someone else. The Takano's just planted to like hide.
課長に近県にも同様に身元不明の女性死体が出ていないか確認を取るよう伝えてください。
了解っす。
高野さんも殺されているということですか。
さてまだ外車とも星とも決まったわけじゃありません。もちろん無関係って可能性だって残ってます。明日は月曜だってのも構わず、その辺の飲み屋で飲んだくれてる可能性もありますからね。
信じられない。どうしてこんなことが。
まあ私だって信じられないです。品見沢村連続開始事件、これで5年目、お社様のたたりが5連続ってことになっちまいます。くそ、なんとか今年で尻尾を掴んでやりたいな。定年前にこの山だけはなんとか片付けたいんです。
Ooishi hates the curse of Oishiro-sama. It had been leading him around by the nose for 5 consecutive years. The victim of the first year, the manager of the damn construction site, was his friend. Despite his desire to avenge his friend, the mystery had only deepened, and one case followed another year after year. Ooishi would be retiring next March. As a retiree, he'd be able to ask about the progress of the investigation, but he wouldn't be able to take the initiative anymore. In other words, this year was his last chance for revenge. Would he have to put his head on the lion's mouth to capture the culprit? Ooishi quietly clenched his fist. I believe that this maze has an exit. Maze is a very convenient word. A maze always has an exit. You don't call it a maze if it doesn't have one. I know I'm on the right path towards the exit of this maze. I used to miss these minor divergences, but now I don't miss anything. I don't make any mistakes. This time I could feel a response that was different than all the other times. I'm sure I can finally get to the exit of this maze. But no matter which path I choose to come to this point, Jiro Tomitake always dies. Yep, he does. Uh-oh. Whoa, we just fast forwarded 2 nights? Or 2 days? Okay, we're just fast forwarding every day? What's going on? Rena had been sick ever since that day, and she hadn't been able to join in the club activities as often since.
まだちょっと風邪っぽいの。そうでございますの。それは残念ですわね。
なあレナ、たまにはパーッとはしゃいでみないか。多分元気に遊べば吹っ飛ばせると思うんだよ俺は。
うん、そうだね。それはおじさんも同感だね。
そうかな。横になっている方が かえって毒になることもありますです。そうですわよね。病は気からとも言いますですわ。
Okay, I don't know about that one, Satoko. She said all illness comes from the mind. Everybody has suspected for a while that Rena isn't really sick, at least physically. It's just that many things happened to her at once. She caught a mental cold. That's why I thought she would get better when she played with us, just like we used to. It seemed like Rena was aware of that too. She knew that she had to get out of her state of depression soon. She wanted to get better, and she wanted to have fun again every day.
よし、私も参加する。
オッケー、そう来なくっちゃね。じゃあ今日はレナの病み上がりも少し加味してテーブルゲームから種目をチョイスしよう。何がいいかな、何がいいかな。
Nina started rummaging through her locker, humming to herself. She took one game after another from the locker and put them aside. The locker definitely didn't abate the laws of physics. The amount of games she took out from the locker was more than what it could physically hold.
お、こんなのもあったね。久しぶりにやってみようか。今日は本格派推理ゲームでいこう。
ほう、なんだよそれ。面白そうだな。
犯人と凶器、犯行現場の3つを当てるゲームなの。結構頭を使うんだよ。
一度やればすぐに覚えて
Didn't
し
they
まい
play
ま
this
す。
game already? I think they played this game before in a previous chapter.
ちゃんとメモに整理していけば大丈夫なのです。
Yeah.
情報の整理にはちょっとしたコツがありますのよ。知的な私の最も得意とするジャンルでございますわね。
The rules don't seem that difficult. In short, it's a game where you sound out the cards each player holds in order to try and reason out the identity of the cards first drawn out of the deck. There are plenty of games in different formats where you try to identify something hidden in the least number of steps. This one just happens to be a competitive one of those. The key to winning this game would be how well you can organize your information. We usually like to play athletic games so that we can run around a lot, but in our club, you have to excel both academically and athletically.
よしよしよし、なんだか面白くなってきやがった。やろうぜやろうぜ。レナ、今日こそ曖昧になってるあの水鉄砲勝負の時の白黒をつけてやる。
そうだね。よーし、レナも本気で行くからね。レナが本気なら僕も本気を出さないといけませんです。ですわね。あの水鉄砲の一件以来、ケイイチさんとレナさんの評価を改めましてよ。容赦なく行かせていただきますわ。
よしよし、盛り上がってきたね。
Bro, if I was one of them though, in the back of my mind, I'd be like, I hope Renegade doesn't get too serious. She might kill us.
おじさんもこういう熱さを期待してたんだよ。よし、行ってみよう。よし行くぜ。俺がナイフで書斎はどうだ。
あるよ。レナはね、ケイイチくん毒薬で玄関ホールだよ。私はこれですわね。ミオン、ピストル、ラウンジですわ。
ピストルはあんたが持ってるんでしょ。下手なフェイクは意味ないよ。
犯人と凶器は特定できたと思います。犯行現場が2択なのです。はあ、リカちゃんも？私は犯人が2択で特定できない。コツは相手の質問内容からも何かのヒントを得ることですのよ。それが分かれば時には相手の手札で答えが分かることもありましたよ。
I still don't get how the fuck this game is played.
なるほどな。くそ、甘く見てたか。やべえ、メモがぐちゃぐちゃで意味がわからなくなった。
メモに書き取るコツが分かればこのゲームは7割方攻略したも同然だね。ま、7割程度じゃおじさんには勝てないけどさ。
I kind of knew I didn't stand a chance of winning this game, but I gradually started picking it up. Rena seemed to be getting her energy back as she played along. It was the right decision to force her to play with us today. While we were in the middle of the game, Chie-sensei came into the
楽しそう
classroom.
ですね。ところで竜宮さんはいますか？
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
竜宮さんにお客様が来ています。
Ooishi. Everybody looked puzzled. Parents sometimes showed up at school for some reason, but Chie-sensei never called them visitors. It's rare to have a visitor at school.
なんだろう。ちょっと行ってくるね。みんなは部活続けててね。
Rena left the classroom at a
どうする？
run.
待ってるか？
どれだけかかる用事かわからないからね。レナもああ言ってたことだし、私たちは続けようか。
ああ。
ふむふむ。
Around the entrance, the glaring sun and the cool shade made for a clear contrast. Ooishi, you motherfucker, don't
竜
do
宮
it.
さんですか。竜宮レイナさん。
Ever since Rena called me Rena, I've hated that name more than ever. Because of that, I didn't have a good first impression of this man.
そうですよ。どちら様ですか？
私の車はエアコンが効いてますから、そっちでお話ししましょ
It's the same thing he did to Keiichi.
う。ここ暑くありません？
He ignored my question and started walking toward the car parked in front of the school gate. If he wanted to talk about something normal, he would have used the teacher's office, but he wanted to talk in this car instead. I couldn't help but feel suspicious. Chie-sensei let him see me, though. That meant he wasn't a suspicious individual as far as she was concerned. Who was he?
取って食いやしません。どうぞどうぞ。
He called out to me while opening the rear door. Is he a policeman? Did the police find out that I killed those two? I felt anxious all of a sudden. Was this what they called a voluntary interview? I didn't want to go in that car, but if I rejected his offer, it would only make me look suspicious. I prepared myself and got in. It was really cool inside the car. A car AC must cost a fortune. At least my father's car doesn't have one.
冷えすぎだったら言ってくださいよ。私ガンガンに冷やしちゃうたちですから。
で、私に何の用ですか？
Damn, she's direct. In retaliation, I ignored his question and got to the point like he did. He pulled a small notebook out of his breast pocket and flipped through it. He picked out a photo from it. The photo showed the face of a goofy-looking
この
man.
男性のことでご存知のことがあったら教えてください。
The man in the picture was expressionless and looked half asleep. Sometimes you can't even recognize your own family members in a photo where they don't have an expression. So there's no way I would recognize a person who wasn't related to me. But anyway, that was a bit of a relief. This had nothing to do with Rena or her
シャ
partner.
ツにマジックで落書きがありましてね。竜宮さんをはじめクラスメート何人かの署名入りでした。
Wait, isn't it Tomitake?
これ、富武さん？
I don't feel his usual carefree unreliableness from this picture at all. From this half-awake, emotionless picture.
では、こちらの女性はわかりますか？
I knew what he was going to
ミオ
show.
さんです。高野ミオさん。
二人に最後に会ったのはいつですか？
綿流しの祭りのお開きになった直後くらいにあったと思います。
何か気になったこととかありませんか？何でも結構です。話してください。
富武さんたちに何かあったんですか？
よっしゃー取った 実はよ、レナとミオンで二択だ
So
ったんだよな。
in this timeline, Keiichi and Rena basically swapped.
じゃあ、博打だったんですの？なんてリスクのあることを。それでも、勝ちは勝ちなのですよ。
お、レナだ。おかえり。ずいぶん時間かかったね。
Mio noticed that Rena had returned. She looked exhausted. I had no idea what she talked about with the visitor, but it was obvious it wasn't something fun.
レナ、大丈夫？
何大丈夫って。
いや、顔色だよ。青いというか、白いというか。本当に大丈夫？
Rena tried to convince us she was fine, but her face clouded over for a moment and she decided to leave early. shouldn't have forced her to join the game. You think she thinks that this is her fault and Oyashiro-sama's punishing? I was regretting it a little. Rena probably forced herself to play with us even though she wasn't feeling well at all. Rena put her stuff in her bag, apologized to us for leaving early, and left the classroom. What's up, Dark Warson?
仕方ありませんわね。ではせめて私たちの白黒ははっきりさせようじゃございませんの。
Read the room, Satoko!
そうだね。次は誰の番だっけ？
Okay, nobody wants to read the room.
よっしゃリカちゃん
Okay, well, alright.
来やがれ
Yep, let's all just let Rena leave. Okay. You're going for a 2-day, 1-night trip with my family later? Oh, nice. Have fun. First of all, I wasn't very close to Mio-san. I knew who she was, so I greeted her whenever we happened to pass by. But that was about it. Never really talked to her except for that one time. And that time was only recently. It was because the day of the... Oh, is that why Ooishi wanted to ask Rena? Because Rena seemed like she wasn't really well established in the group. She looked like the odd one out, so that maybe she wouldn't be too connected. The day I was caught in the act of burying the 2 corpses by Keiichi and my other friends. I had a phone call from the library that evening. I was told that my father needed to return the book he borrowed. He was shopping at the home improvement store at the time, so I went to the library to return the book for him. While I was there, I thought about borrowing some books for myself, and I started walking around the library, and I saw her there. Oh god, no.
あら、レナちゃんじゃないかし
Don't
ら。
talk to this psycho bitch. Nothing good ever happens when you talk to Takano.
こんにちは。
みおさん、どうもこんにちは。図書館で会うなんて珍しいですね。
そう？私にとってみれば、あなたが図書館にいることの方が珍しいんだけどね。
She smiled in a very attractive and charming way that only mature women can do. Her smile gave no indication that she knew her death was just a few days away. She said that she often met with Tomitake-san at the library. It seemed like she had some time to kill, so she told me she wanted to buy me a drink. I had nothing to do after that. I let her buy me a canned iced milk tea from the vending machine in the library, and we would talk for a while. Once I came to think about it, it was a little ironic. She mostly talked about the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. She had no idea that she was going to be the victim of its 5th year. Or did she?
"連続開始事件ですか?"
あら、聞いたことくらいあるでしょう。4年前にはダムの現場監督、3年前には北条夫妻、2年前には古出夫妻、そして去年は聡子ちゃんのおばが犠牲になったひなみ沢村連続開始事件よ。それがあと何日かで5年目を迎えるじゃない。
一応私もそういう物騒な名前で呼ばれていることは知ってますけど、でも5年目も起こると決まったわけじゃ。
起こるわよ、絶対にね。
Maybe Takano's one of those people that wants to perpetuate the fucking, curse. This is why I still think Takano isn't actually dead and purposefully had Tomitake injected so that she can continue the fucking curse. And she's just like hiding out somewhere.
2度あることは3度あるってことわざがあるけど、4度あることは5度あるって方がもっと確率は高いとは思わない？
Mio-san was convinced that the 5th mysterious death was going to happen, but she didn't know she was going to be the 5th victim. That's ironic and also really creepy. But there's always something creepy about her. No, chat, the reason why I don't think she's dead is because every time we get a description of Takano's possible body, it's just a burnt to crisp body inside of a drum that nobody can really identify. They just assume it's her. So maybe she knew that she was going to be killed in a few days? The series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. Of course I know about it. I lived here for more than a year. Every year on the day of Watanagashi festival, one traitor to the village dies mysteriously. It's been that way since the dam conflict. Each case was solved individually, but mysterious incidents still happen every year. It makes me wonder if there's some kind of will to all this. The creepiness and incomprehensibility of it all give rise to the name, the Curse of Oeshiro-sama, which fit perfectly. Despite this, I always thought the Curse of Oeshiro-sama was just a series of coincidences. My reason for that is because I strongly believe that Satoshi-kun was the one who murdered his aunt on the 4th year. I don't have any evidence, but I just know it. I know that Satoshi-kun was in a serious predicament last year and that he had nowhere to return. He had no one to help him, but he had to save Satoshi-chan as soon as he could. Satoshi-kun thought it through and made the best choice he could to handle the situation, just like I did when I had my problem with Rena. I hesitated to inform Mio-san that Satoshi-kun was the murderer on the 4th year, so I just listened to her for a while. According to her theory, a series of mysterious deaths isn't just a set of coincidences, but is instead a series of interrelated murder cases. At that point, my theory was completely the opposite of hers, but I decided not to cut in.
ひなみ沢のお社様信仰は知ってるわよね。
Takano-san started telling me that Hinamizawa was once called Onigafuchi. She also explained the story of how the villagers were in the old days, showing me the scrapbook she was so proud of. The villagers back then were called man-eating demons, but they were also admired as transcendents, enlightened people not bound by earthly desires.
つまりミオさんの説によるならば、連続開始事件はお社様を崇拝する狂信的団体がひなみ沢に潜んでいて、お社様の力を世に示そうとしていると。
狂信的というか原理主義的というかは紙一重だけどね。明治以降村の名前がひなみ沢に変わって以来、鬼ヶ淵村が長く続けてきたさまざまな風習が途絶えている。それをよみがえらせ、再び鬼ヶ淵村の名と威風を取り戻そうと思っている人たちがいるんじゃないかしら。
Mio-san's theory was more than a little crazy, but it was also fascinating. At first, her theory had sounded like she was just jumping to conclusions, but after she eagerly showed me the documents that she'd been studying, I started to think that it wasn't actually too far from the truth. If her theory was true, it would mean that the accidental deaths of the Hojo couple in the 2nd year, and the suicide and death by disease of the Furude couple in the 3rd year, and the drug addict murderer in the 4th year were all cooked up. It means someone who has a lot of power and influence over the police was involved.
I, Federica, have duct tape.
Phyllis, I think we're at a 42. When I pointed that out, Mio-san nodded in agreement, and she started talking about how strongly they were rooted in the village and how deeply they were involved with many public organizations. After she finished explaining all that, I finally noticed that Mio-san was suggesting that the 3 families, including the Sonozaki family, were the masterminds behind the murder incidents. In fact, the Sonozaki family really is very powerful. They hold influence not only over Hinamizawa and Okinomiya, but also over the entire Shishibone area. It might not be wrong to say that they even hold influence over the entire prefecture. If the Sonozaki family is behind all this, her theory would be more realistic, but that means I should be suspicious of Michan. No, I shouldn't. But in fact, Michan was very cold and unkind to Satoshi-kun when he was going through a tough time. I know there was a conflict between the Sonozaki family and the Hojo family during the Dam Wars, but still, she was very cold to Satoshi-kun. But Michan admitted that what she did was wrong. And I forgave her too. I didn't want to think about that again. I decided to change the subject because I knew it'd make me feel uncomfortable if we kept talking about the Sonozaki family.
そもそもお社様信仰って一体何なんでしょうね。鬼と人が共存というのも面白い話です。普通の昔話だったら鬼が来たら退治してやっつけるという風なのに。
そうね。そのあたりがお社様信仰の面白いところね。でもそもそも神の国から神が漂着してきて崇められるというのは決して珍しいことではないのよ。漂着神崇拝って言ってね、世界中に海の向こうから あるいは川上から神が漂着してきて、それを人々が敬ったという類の神話が残されているわ。
それは偉
Bro,
人
I feel
漂
like
着
this
の話
Takano
でしょう
bitch is
か。
the issue in every chapter. She radicalizes whoever she fucking talks to, and then they turn into like a fucking paranoid crazy person. We need to
そういう
kill
捉え方も
Takano
一般的
immediately.
ね。古代日本は大陸に比べるとさまざまな文化が遅れていた。だから進んだ文化を持った異国人が漂着した結果、その知識を敬い神と祀ったというのはありえなくもない話よね。
そういえば日本に伝わる赤鬼や青鬼もナンパして漂着した異国人のことを指すのではないかという説がありましたね。天狗のいわゆる真っ赤で鼻が異様に高い顔も欧米人を見慣れない古代の人々が作り上げたのかもしれないし。
あら、レナちゃんもなかなか鋭い見方ができるわね。それには私も同感よ。大方の漂着神信仰の原点は私も異人漂着にあると思うわ。でもそうだとすると、鬼ヶ淵村の鬼が現れたとする漂着神信仰にはちょっと不思議な点がある。わかるかしら？
わからないです。
簡単よ。鬼ヶ淵村には海がない。
あ、確かに。
異人漂着なら外の世界とつながる接点が欠かせないはずよ。欧米なら異国に通じる川、日本なら世界に接する海。だから日本における漂着神崇拝もそのほとんどは沿岸部に集中するわね。
鬼ヶ淵村以外に漂着し、そこから旅をしてここまでやってきた可能性はありませんか？
ところがお社様信仰の決定的なところは、鬼が漂着した場所を鬼ヶ淵沼とはっきり特定している点なの。鬼ヶ淵沼には何も流れ着かない。そんなところになぜどこから漂着したのか。実はこの辺にお社様信仰の謎を探る面白さがあるのよ。お社様の伝説はどの程度知ってるかしら？
学校に置いてある絵本で読んだ程度です。
Oh, whoops. I feel like I know a lot about it, but I actually don't. I just have an extreme fear of the rule not to leave Hinamizawa. After all, my life went wrong after I left. I felt dizzy when I tried to think about it further, so I stopped. When everything went wrong in Ibaraki, I met Oyashiro-sama and he told me to go back to Hinamizawa. No, no, no. I'll get dizzy. Don't try to remember. Don't try to remember. I can't remember. I can't remember. I got desperate because I felt responsible for the divorce. I just used Oyashiro-sama as an excuse for my mental instability, and I told my father I wanted to go back to Hinamizawa, right? But wait, Oyashiro-sama did come to me. Oh no, the colors are too dazzling. I can only remember the vivid color of the pills and the dizziness.
それだけ知ってれば十分よ。鬼ヶ淵より鬼が湧き出し、村人を襲った。それを見かねたお社様が降臨して鬼たちを平服させたわ。鬼たちは地獄を追放され、行き場がないことを嘆き、それで村人たちは鬼たちを気の毒に思って村に住まわせてあげようと決めた。そしてお社様は村人たちの心に感銘を受け、鬼たちに人の姿を与え、村に共存させたという。その血は 次第に交わり、村人たちに溶け込んでいった。
そうです。そういう話だったと思います。
I felt dizzy like I was going to faint because I touched the one memory I didn't want to.
神話の多くは古代の何らかの事実を原型にしていると言われることが多いんだけど、レナちゃんはこの神話から何を読み取れるかしら？
Because I was still feeling dizzy, all I could do was tilt my head quizzically. It seemed like Mio-san was expecting that response because she smiled, looking satisfied that she successfully made me confused. She took a scrapbook out of her paper bag.
これ、レナちゃんに貸してあげるわ。
ありがとうございます。でも私、
いいのよ。暇な夜長にでも思い出したら読んでくれれば結構。レナちゃんは鋭いところがあるみたいだから、それを読んだ上で今度じっくり議論を交わしたいわね。私も肯定的であれ敵対的であれ、議論の相手がいなくて寂しいのよ。二郎さん、こういうのにはさっぱり興味のない人だし。
I had little choice but to take the scrapbook. Apparently, Mio-san came to the library often, so I figured I could return it to her whenever I came to return my books. Oh god. However, the day I returned the scrapbook to Mio-san never came.
どうしたの？さっきからうつろね。体調悪いの？
あ、ちょっと夏風邪気味ね。まだ病み上がりなんです。
It wasn't the summer cold that was making me feel dizzy. I always get dizzy when I try to remember the time I met Ooishi-sama in Ibaraki. I mustered all my courage and asked her. My memory of those days in Ibaraki is blurry. I know I met Ooishi-sama. Nobody believed me and they told me that it was a hallucination. But I thought Mio-san would listen to me.
ミオさん、
Oh god.
今度は私の話を聞いてもらってもいいですか？
いいわよ。聞いてもらったお返しに今度は私が聞くわ。
いえ、お社様の話なんです。笑われないかとても不安です。
笑わないわよ。あなたも私の話を笑わなかったもの。
Mio-san said it was in a very gentle and mature way, and that encouraged me. Even so, I still hesitated to talk, but there was probably nobody but Mio-san with whom I could talk about something like this. I gathered my courage again and spoke.
私、お社様に会ったことがあるんです。
本当に？
はい、私、小学校に上がる前まではひなみ沢に住んでいたんです。それが母の仕事の関係で茨城に引っ越したんです。この意味はわかりますよね？
わかるわよ。南沢を離れてはならないというお社様の禁忌に触れたということね。
そうです。それでいろいろ悪いことが起こって母が離婚し、家庭はぐちゃぐちゃになりました。私も自暴自棄になって悪いことをしたりしました。
辛いこともあったのね。それで？
世の中の何もかもが嫌になって、自分以外の幸せな人たち全部が私を見下しているように感じた最後の頃、不思議な存在が現れるようになったんです。
それがお社様？
初めて現れたのは内緒ですよ。全部嫌になって自分を壊してしまいたいと思って、体に刃物を突きつけたことがあったんです。
Oh shit, bro.
その時、首をカミソリで切りつけたら血に混じってブクブクと汚らしい何かが溢れ出したんです。
What the fuck?
それは
バカにしないわよ。続けて。
The chill I felt at that time came back to me. I sealed that memory away so that I wouldn't have to remember ever again. But once I unsealed it, I started remembering things one after another. Yes, back then there was something in the blood, something crawling.
赤黒い無数のウジ虫だったんです。それらは首から血がこぼれるのと一緒にわらわらと湧き出してきました。しかもそいつらは外へ溢れまいと傷口から再び中へ戻っていこうとわらわらうごめいていたんです。
What the fuck?
私そんな気持ち悪いのに体内に戻られたくなくって
あ
吐きました。首の傷をひっかいてはほじくり出そうとしました。
Wait, that's...
でもそれ以上は痛くて血まみれになるばかりで、それで私の体の中には血管いっぱいにあの気持ち悪いウジ虫がぎっしり詰まっているんじゃないかって。それで私は試しにカミソリでももの血管を開いてみました。そこならよく見えると思ったから。そしたら溢れてきたんです。ドバッとわらわらっと。
I understand, Ryugu-san, so please calm down.
分かってないってば。そのウジ虫たちは血と一緒にドバッと溢れ出すけど、すぐに元の血管の中に戻ろうとする。それがとてもかゆいんです。
Please bring a doctor? No, 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 don't claw at it like that. Bring me a sedative. Hurry. Hold her down.
私の血管の中のウジ虫をやっつけて血を全部抜いてきれいにして。私の血管にはウジ虫がいっぱい詰まってるの。どうして信じないの？見せてあげるから。見れば信じるでしょ。注射は嫌。いや
落ち着いて。
Ryu-san sat next to me and held my hands tightly. Her touch brought me back to reality.
それでどうしたの？
そんな誰も私のことを信じてくれない時に現れたんです、お社様が。
The memory was very vague and I saw flickering lights and made it difficult for me to remember. I met Oyashiro-sama. That sentence is all I remembered. The memory of actually meeting Oyashiro-sama was unbelievably vague. After I got out of the hospital, I continued being treated at home. I still felt something moving in my veins, so I wanted to cut my body to make the blood ooze out so that I could make sure that there were no maggots in there. Usually, I was sleeping like the dead because of the strong pills I was taking. But one day, I forgot to take the pill and my consciousness was very clear. I felt the maggots moving in my veins. I felt the urge to look inside. I cut a vein on my wrist. I knew it. A lot of blood and many dusty red maggots came out from the wound. I wanted to wash them off before they crawled back inside me, so I put my wrist under running water and so I tried to open the vein. Water, blood, and maggots ran down into the drain. Just like squeezing out the pus from a pimple, I squeezed the vein to get rid of the dirty blood and the maggots. I kept doing it. My arms started to feel numb and I felt cold, but I kept doing it. I thought I might die from losing too much blood, but I kept doing it. My body was filled with maggots. I had to squeeze all my blood out of me. Jesus Christ, bro. And then a very bright light shone upon me. It was a very bizarre sensation. I had never experienced anything like it in my life. All of a sudden, the dark bathroom was filled with a bright light. Jesus? It was very bright but gentle. It wasn't like the light from the merciless fluorescent bulb. It was very warm and gentle. That was Oyashiro-sama. Oyashiro-sama was looking at me with gentleness and sadness in his eyes. As he touched my wound, the maggots started melting and disappearing in front of my eyes. That wasn't all. All the maggots that were moving throughout all my veins disappeared too. Oyashiro-sama taught me. These maggots were the curse. People of the demon's blood can't live outside of Hinamizawa. It's the rule. Unfortunately, you've been cursed. It's very sad and I feel sorry for you. There's only one way to save you, that's what he said. What should I do? The answer was very simple. All I needed to do was go back to Hinamizawa. I unconsciously knew that before I heard it from Oyashiro-sama. People who are born in Hinamizawa must never leave. But I broke Oyashiro-sama's rule and I left Hinamizawa. That's why my family was broken and I lost my mind. If I hadn't left Hinamizawa, nothing would have gone wrong. And so I had to go back. Oyashiro-sama also told me this. He could make the maggots, the embodiment of the curse, disappear, but only temporarily because I lived far from Hinamizawa. After a while, the power of Oyashiro-sama would fade away and the curse would start eating my body again. If that happened, the maggots would take over my body and I would go insane and die. I must go back to Hinamizawa before his power to hold down the curse faded away. That's why Oyashiro-sama told me. He did. I heard him tell me that. I should have gone back to Hinamizawa earlier. That's why Oyashiro-sama came to me to put his curse on me. But he gave me a chance. He gave me a chance to pay for my sin of leaving Hinamizawa. Dad, listen, Oyashiro-sama is going to help us. Let's go back to Hinamizawa. Hinamizawa is the place where we must live. If we don't, not only me, but you might be cursed too. Let's go back to Hinamizawa. That's the only place where we can live. We need to hurry. We need to hurry or Oyashiro-sama's power will fade and my body will be eaten by maggots. Oh no, Oyashiro-sama is following me. He's telling me to hurry. What the fuck? He follows me everywhere and keeps telling me to hurry. He keeps apologizing to me for putting this curse on me. He follows me everywhere and keeps apologizing. I'm telling you the truth, I am. Why can't anybody see it? Why can't they see the maggots or Oyashiro-sama? Everybody is trying to fool me? Oh god. I know they can see them too. No, no, please stop. I don't want to get another shot. Bro, they all think she was crazy. I was breathing hard and Mio-san was holding my shoulders. I could feel that the terrible memory I've been trying to forget was awakening. The doctors told me that the memory was just my delusion. They told me that since I blamed myself for the divorce, I unconsciously had a desire to blame someone else for it, and I unconsciously connected desire to the folktale of Oyashiro-sama that I read when I was little. I got drug treatment, received counseling, and waited. I gradually got better, and that proved the things I saw were just hallucinations. The doctors asked my father to consider moving to Hinamizawa if possible. Fortunately, he wanted to change his living environment to heal his pain from the divorce as well. So we came back to Hinamizawa. After we came back to Hinamizawa, I felt it. I felt it in my bones that this was the place we should live. And I also felt Oyashiro-sama's blessing. I definitely felt it. I felt the curse of Oyashiro-sama starting to break. I was free. After I moved here, I went to the clinic in Gogura for a while. The doctor gave me the same poisonous-looking pills, and I kept taking them for a while. Then the terrible memory gradually became unclear. Whenever I tried to remember it, I could only remember the strong side effects of the pills, and it made me dizzy. That's how I regained my peace. And then I changed my name to Rena. The reason was because my name reminded me of those bad memories. Oh, and then I changed my name, Rena. Okay. I didn't want to have anything icky in my life anymore. That's why I came up with the idea of taking icky things out. After I took the I of Icky out of my name, Rena, there were only Re and Na left. That's how Rena was born. I like that. When I was introduced to my classmates, I told them to call me Rena. Since then, that had been my name. I'm living my new life as Rena. I cut away all the sad things that happened when I was Rena. My father still calls me Rena, but I don't feel bad as long as it was just my father and my relatives. But then Rena came into my life one day and she called me Rena. Because she called me Rena, those colored lights started flickering again. I should stop. I should forget about it. The lights were still flickering.
すみません。私、だいぶ取り乱してました。
小声で何かつぶやいてたわね。落ち着いたならよかったわ。
Maybe Takano's not that bad of a person. Judging by Mio-san's reactions, I wasn't panicking as badly as I thought I was. But I probably had those panicked hallucinations several times. If I started screaming and yelling like I once did, they'd take me away to a hospital again for sure. Unless she is a bad person and she thinks she found the perfect disciple of Oyashiro-sama's curse. A fellow criminal in Rena.
私は あの異常な中で確かにお社様に会ったんです。もちろんウジ虫も信じられませんよね。
Mio-san smiled, looking a little confused. I couldn't blame her. I didn't expect her to believe it. I'm sure it was just a strange memory I created for myself in my hallucinations. I can't believe I can't trust myself. That's the worst feeling of all.
レナちゃん、まず一つ安心してほしいの。
はい。
レナちゃんが怖がっているタタリ、つまり血の中にいたという。それはお社様が言うにはひなみ沢にいる限りは大丈夫なんでしょう？
ええ、そう言ってました。
なら怯えることはないじゃない。安心して。あなたは今ひなみ沢にいる。まあこの図書館は沖宮だけど、このくらいの距離ならお社様も許してくれるわね。血管の内側に何かがうごめいているなんて感じないでしょ？
それははい。
だから安心して。あなたは今お社様の戒律をちゃんと守ってる。だから何も恐れなくていい。だってそうでしょうね。
はい。はい。
I didn't know until then that she was such a warm-hearted person. I met many doctors and talked to them about this, but they always ignored me and didn't really listen. All they did was give me a shot of the drug I hated. On the other hand, Mio-san didn't deny my story or the existence of Oyashiro-sama. The people in this village whispered behind her back that she's a little crazy. She was actually a very kind person, I thought.
レナちゃん、私は今の話
ありがとうございます。そう言ってくれた人は初めてかもです。
それは私も同じよ。私の話をバカにしないでちゃんと聞いてくれた人はあなたが初めて。私たちいい友達になれそうね。
Mio-san smiled, touching my head with hers.
なら私の秘蔵のファイルとスクラップも貸してあげるわね。
Don't do it. Don't do it, Rena. This is whoever she gives these files goes crazy. Look what happened to Shion last time.
本当に本当の門外不出。私以外の誰にも見せる気がなかったんだけど、レナちゃんには特別に読ませてあげてもいい気がするわ。あなたならバカにしないでちゃんと読んでくれそうな気がするし。
She took a few scrapbooks out of her paper bag and handed them to me.
ぜひ読んで感想を聞かせてね。あるいはひょっとするとレナちゃんにしかわからないことなのかもしれない。
Mio-san was acting mysteriously. She smiled mischievously and put her index finger on her lips as a sign to keep it a
あ
secret.
とこのスクラップ帳と私がそういう研究しているのは内緒よ。
内緒ですか？はい、わかりました。
だってこんな研究をしているのが連中に知られたら消された。
She laughed after she said that. They might erase her, that's what she said, and she went missing. She left me her scrapbooks, but that's not all there is to it. It's the way Tomitaka-san died. Ooishi-san said he committed suicide because of a state of excitation caused by using some kind of drug, but I know what really happened. I didn't tell Ooishi-san about it. I don't think he'd have believed me even if I told him. Without a doubt, Tomitaka-san died trying to get rid of the maggots. It was nothing other than the curse of Oyashiro-sama. To never leave Hinamizawa isn't the only rule of Oyashiro-sama. There are more. He might have broken one of them without knowing it. Ooishi-san told me. Tomitaka-san was taking pictures with his camera flash on during the sacred ritual dance and some people got mad at him for it. Did Oyashiro-sama put his curse on Tomitaka because he violated the sacred ritual dance? It might be for another reason. Anyway, he died from the curse of Oyashiro-sama without a doubt. Did that mean Oyashiro-sama put his curse on Mio-san too? Investigating the gods is the same as getting close to the gods. It's disrespecting them. But Mio-san told me that they might get rid of her if they found out about her investigation. But they, she meant humans. By they, she meant humans. Plus, according to her theory, the three families are in a conspiracy to revive the faith of Oyashiro-sama. but I can tell by the way Tomitaka-san died that it was the act of the curse. I'm certain about that because I experienced the curse myself. And at first glance, that seemed incompatible with those conspiracy theories about human beings. I remember that Ooishi-san told me something about some kind of drug that can make a person commit suicide. So do the three families have a secret drug that can cause the curse of Oishiro-sama? That's impossible. Plus, I didn't get any shots of a suspicious drug like that. I had a normal life in Ibaraki. I wasn't involved with the Sonozaki family or the Kimiyoshi family. Oishi-san asked me a favor. He asked me to tell him secretly if I saw or heard anything suspicious. It could be about Mi-chan, Rika-chan, or anybody in the village. Mio-san believed my story about Orishio-sama. Now she's gone. Tomitaka-san died by doing the same thing I did. Oh no, 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 no. I don't want to get involved with the curse of Orishio-sama. Is this a conspiracy of a group of fanatical cult members, or is it a curse of Oishiro-sama? Is everything just a set of coincidences, or maybe it's a mixture of a conspiracy and the curse? I don't know. Is it the work of humans, the curse, or a coincidence? Oh no, even the light of the sunset was making me feel dizzy. When did the sunlight in Hinamizawa get so mean? Mio-san told me to keep her investigation secret. I have her top secret scrapbooks. They might hold the truth about everything. When I realized that, I got scared all of a sudden. I might end up the same way as Mio-san because I have her scrapbooks. If it's a conspiracy, I'll be erased. If it's the curse, I'll be cursed. I should burn the scrapbook. That's the safest thing to do. But Mio-san believed my story. Mio-san listened to me without laughing. I feel it's wrong to burn them without taking a look. If it's a conspiracy, I have to expose it. If it's a curse, I have to break it. I shouldn't run away. I should fight. That's right, I decide to fight to seize my happiness. Oh god, bro, we're having a Shion Mark II over here. I shouldn't give in to the misfortunes. I have to fight. I'm going to get rid of all the things that are trying to ruin my peaceful life. I'm going to read her scrapbook when I get home. I started walking faster. Oh, no, bro. Here she goes. Lunch takeout list. Let's see. Kuroda Mental Clinic. Hello. To get straight to the point, we can assume that this is an acute case of post-traumatic stress disorder. The patient is subject to tremendous stress because of her parents' sudden divorce and being forced to choose to live with either her mother or her father. Furthermore, the patient firmly believes that she was responsible for her parents' divorce, which further drives her to self-mutilation. The patient's largest shock stems from a sense of betrayal of her own household, which she believes was an absolute safe haven. Henceforth, there's a high possibility that the patient will resort to psychological defense measures to protect her family. For example, she might feel high disdain for any person of the opposite sex who approaches her father. She might feel uncomfortable about having other people in her home. She may also display eccentric behavior in order to keep people away from it. As an example of the latter, there are reported cases of patients unconsciously bringing home garbage. It's highly important that the patient remains in close communication with her father. By deepening the communication between the two of them, it'll strengthen their family bond and loosen up her anxiety. Since the patient only shows sign of acute syndrome in this case, there's a very good chance that she'll recover within 3 months with her father's support and her proper medication. However, it's common for a patient who seemed to have recovered to have a sudden reoccurrence, a flashback, even after 10 years. Her father is still fairly young, and there's still a chance that he could remarry. However, seeing an unfamiliar member of the opposite sex through remarriage could trigger a flashback in the patient, which may lead to avoidance behavior or hyper-awareness. Please explain this part thoroughly to the father in order for him to understand the recovery process. Should the father decide to remarry, it's recommended that he should hold off in telling the patient until she reaches the age where she's capable of living independently. Also, the cause of the patient's psychosomatic self-mutilating behavior, delusional parasitosis, seems to be its own culture-bound syndrome. The patient blindly believes that leaving her home village will cause a curse, and that this curse was the cause of her parents' divorce. We believe this is a subconscious defensive mechanism to reduce her mental trauma by shifting the blame from herself to her village's curse. According to the patient's statement, the curse of her home village is extremely strict. Culture of her home village is extremely strict and exclusive. The patient believes that there's no way that to be saved from the curse other than by going back to the village, as the curse will continue as long as she lives in her current environment. Through this, we see an inclination of schizophrenia and believe the chances are high that the patient will continue to alter their perceived reality. Schizophrenia, a case where a patient's personalities are reduced, causing altered perceptions of reality and delusions. Her delusion about the maggots dwelling in her blood is a perfect example and is also the cause of her psychosomatic self-mutilating behavior. When a delusion involves a psychosomatic self-mutilating behavior, it's extremely dangerous. I highly recommend for the father to move back to the village if he's financially capable. Allowing her to live with relatives in the village might also work. If such a strong belief can induce symptoms such as self-mutilation, then there might be other cases similar to this one. Perhaps prior medical files that document similar culture-bound syndromes may be available at a larger medical institution in her local area. It'll then be possible to provide better and more accurate mental care for the patient by obtaining these case files. This B5 size letter was with a bunch of memos. The following was on the backside of the letter. 1 chukadan, 3 Shanghai style gomoku yakisoba, and 1 large fried rice. Okay. What was that in there? Alright. Well, chat. That is it for today. I'm gonna go get some dinner with Lily. Yes, sir. Ooh. Alright. Dodi, yeah, I'm ending. Let's see. Thanks for the stream. No problem, chat. See you guys tomorrow for another great day. Can you guys believe we are exactly 10 days from going to Japan. Less than 10 days now, actually, which is kind of insane, but yup, 10 days until we go to Tokyo Game Show. Holy moly. Ooh, is this true? What is this? My vacation plan in America as a European. Arrival morning, 1 hour drive. Yeah, America is that small. That's right. America is about the size of Germany. You got that right. Yes, sir. Anyways, all right, chat. Good night. Good night. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye-bye.